Hi, and welcome back to Treehouse Garden. The sun is out, the ground is warming up, and it's time to think about transitioning from your winter garden, if you had one, into your summer garden. So join me today as I show you some things you can do to prepare, as well as show you some things that I got into the ground recently. All right, let's go. It's really important to harden off your plants before you take them out of their cozy little pots and put them in the ground. And what that means is you're going to take them out of the spot where you've been growing them, whether it's a sunny windowsill, out on your front porch, under grow lights, or for me in my greenhouse. It's important to acclimate them to the space where they're going to be planted. So the first time you take them out of their location, you want to do it for a couple hours. And then over the next couple days, increase it until the plants have been outside, acclimated, and hardened off for an entire day. So most of you probably bought your plants at the local Home Depot or Tractor Supply or Green Acres. I know you really want to get them home and get them in the ground, but it's really important to let them harden off. If you think about it, they've been raised in very different locations in different ways, and it's important to let your plants acclimate and get used to where you're going to plant them before you yank them out of their pots and get them in the ground. You'll have a much better success rate if you harden them off first. The next thing that you can do to prepare for your garden, if you're not ready to plant yet, is to get all your weeds up. You can see I have a lot of weeds over there, but I worked yesterday on this area. Get your weeds up, get your drip lines set up. If you're using drip line, check them out, and get your soil all prepared. So when you are ready to get your plants in the ground, everything's ready for them. So let's talk about some things that I got in the ground recently. The box behind me is a raised bed made up of compost and good soil and some organic fertilizer. And down in the dirt under there, I planted seed potatoes. I got my potatoes this year from Peaceful Valley in Grass Valley, and they're little potatoes with a bunch of eyes. I just put them in the ground and spaced them evenly, dumped a bunch of good soil on top, and as they start to grow, we will continue to put more and more soil on top, causing the plants to create potatoes. So as your potatoes come out of the ground, you'll see these really pretty leaves. And when you see them like this, you know that the potatoes are growing, and you're just going to keep heaping dirt on top of the plants, causing them to grow upwards and causing the potatoes to grow underneath the ground. Let's do a quick check-in on those tomatoes that I planted 2 weeks ago. They're really doubling in size now because the soil is warming up and the weather is nice. Yesterday I went through and I plucked off the bottom branches. So if you can see the tomato behind me, it's got a nice tall stalk and just 3 main branches. And I'm going to continue to do that until the tomato reaches the top of my trellis. And then from then, the tomato is just going to produce on the trellis. This airflow at the bottom of the tomato is what keeps them healthy and productive. One perk to growing the tomatoes up to the trellis is you have a lot of area underneath the tomato where you can grow other products. Tomatoes really love basil, and who doesn't love tomato and basil together? So yesterday I sprinkled a whole bunch of basil seeds in the ground underneath and in between the tomatoes, put a little light soil on top, gave them a watering, and pretty soon we're going to have tomatoes on the trellis with basil underneath. So the last thing I want to showcase today is my cucumber patch here. So I have another raised bed really close to the potatoes. It gets lots of sun. I don't know if you can see, but I used a cattle panel here, and I put it up so that the cucumbers, which I planted right down at the bottom here in the soil, are going to climb up and grow onto the trellises. So cucumbers, great to buy them at the store, but a pack of seeds is like $2. Sprinkle them in the ground, put a light compost on top, some fertilizer, and before you know it, you'll have cucumbers. Well, thanks for joining me today at the Treehouse Garden. Remember, it's really important whether you grow your own seedlings or you purchase your plants at the local store to harden them off and give them time to acclimate to their new place. Also, make sure you get rid of those weeds, check your drip lines or whatever watering system you're going to use, and get inspired by this beautiful weather in Northern California and maybe being on lockdown at home in quarantine. Get your tomatoes, get your cucumbers, and maybe even get some potatoes in the ground.